It was a busy weekend for emergency personnel in Du Bois County. We'll talk more about that. Plus, Terry Seitz joins me for this week's Monday with the Mayor, and more on this week's WBDC Country Showdown in this edition of Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. It was quite the busy weekend for emergency personnel across the area, especially for Indiana conservation officers. We begin with a pair of ATV crashes that left a combined total of 3 people injured and 1 driver charged on intoxication charges. Saturday night, a pair of Pike County women suffered serious injuries in their ATV crash near Petersburg. Conservation officers say this crash happened just before 9 o'clock on Saturday. Authorities say 38-year-old Stephanie Page of Petersburg had been riding an Arctic Cat ATV on private property when she lost control, causing it to roll over. Page and her passenger, 19-year-old Mercedes Hall of Princeton, were able to get out from under the ATV and call for help. Page sustained head and neck injuries while Hall suffered head and leg injuries. Hall was taken to Deaconess Hospital by ambulance and Page was airlifted to Deaconess Hospital. Page was not wearing any protective gear at the time of the crash, according to authorities. Now, the first of the 2 accidents happened Friday night at around 7:45 p.m. just southwest of Ireland in the 6,000 block of County Road 150 North, and this driver is facing intoxication charges. Indiana conservation officers say 23-year-old Jacob Ray of Decker had been operating his ATV in the area when it went left of center into oncoming traffic. Ray then overcorrected and his ATV ran off of the road and crashed into a nearby ditch. Conservation officers say Ray had a BAC of 0.24% or 3 times the legal limit. After being treated for a broken clavicle at Jasper's Memorial Hospital, he was booked into the Du Bois County Security Center on a Class A misdemeanor for operating while intoxicated. A problem inside an OFS Brands sawdust storage building plant kept Huntingburg fire crews busy over the weekend. At 9 o'clock Saturday morning, firefighters with the Huntingburg Volunteer Fire Department were called to OFS Brands Plant 18 in the 4600 block of South 400 West. Huntingburg Assistant Fire Chief Glenn Kissling says when they arrived, firefighters found a sawdust inside of the building that was smoldering, but was not completely on fire thanks to the sprinkler system being activated. Kissling says an overhead auger in the building overheated, causing the sawdust to smolder, thus activating the sprinklers. Kissling says OFS maintenance personnel had to empty most of the sawdust from the building to get the smoldering part put out. Nobody was in the building at the time of the fire and no injuries were reported. The Huntingburg Fire Department responded with 2 trucks and 13 men. They were assisted by the Holland Volunteer Fire Department, who sent 10 of their firefighters. Fire crews were on scene for about 5 hours Saturday morning and into the afternoon. Operation Double Trouble continued over the weekend as police made a 9th arrest. Just before 10:50 on Friday night, Huntingburg authorities pulled over a blue 2003 Chevrolet pickup that was being driven by 36-year-old Dwayne Bullion of Otwell. Police initially took Bullion into custody on a warrant for a level 4 felony count of dealing methamphetamine. As they went through his truck, police found paraphernalia and a controlled substance as well. Bullion was charged with new level 6 felony counts for possession of paraphernalia and possession of a Schedule 1 controlled substance on top of the warrant. Of course, Operation Double Trouble commenced last Thursday, nearly a year to the day after Operation Big Brother was launched. Operation Big Brother netted 16 arrests. Local authorities hailed Operation Double Trouble as another victory in the local war on drugs, including Stuart Wilson with the Du Bois County Sheriff's Department.
Sometimes it feels like a losing battle, but on days like today, it's a definite victory. Today we know that there are at least 8 persons that are not going to be dealing narcotics in our communities, and that's a good day for law enforcement.
The others who were arrested made their initial court appearances last week. All are facing felony counts for dealing methamphetamine or dealing narcotics. State lawmakers are touting funding for community corrections at a time when local corrections funding may finally be working itself out. District 48 State Senator Mark Messmer says this past legislative session, $60 million was added to the state budget for recidivism reduction programs and mental health and addiction treatments for offenders. Half of that $60 million appropriation was set aside for a new mental health and forensic treatment fund. Messmer says new research from the U.S. Justice Department's Bureau of Justice Statistics found that more than half of all inmates showed signs of mental health problems and 75% showed signs of substance abuse or dependence. Mesper says he also supported other measures during this legislative session.
In addition to increased funding in the next two-year budget, I supported a provision that gives local sheriffs and courts more time to prepare for an increase in the number of offenders under local jurisdiction while maintaining Indiana's push to drive criminal justice resources from prisons to community corrections. With the right resources, I'm confident our local community corrections programs will help low-level felons get the appropriate rehabilitation they need.
Now, last week, interim DuBois County Community Corrections Director Jenny Foose told the DuBois County Council that collections for the corrections program are up according to a recent State Department of Corrections audit. Foose says that news came as a relief to her and everybody else working at the center.
I think everybody's a little relieved to see that we're turning a new leaf here and we're starting to see some more positive financially. So hopefully in the future we'll continue to see those user fees come in.
DCCC will once again be getting just over $556,800 of state funding for its 2015-2016 budget. That budget was approved by the County Council last week. And finally tonight, this past weekend turned out to be a fun one for kids and some adults on the square in downtown Jasper. Saturday morning was the 12th edition of the Chalk Walk, which is put on by the Jasper Community Arts Commission. Kids had the chance to draw their artwork on a sidewalk block of their choice along the square, or even on the edge of the street in a few cases. The Arts Commission also set up booths on the square, and some of those featured were the Arts Market, various food vendors, community service, and musicians. Now, the Chalk Walk was only the beginning of what turned out to be a busy weekend in the city of Jasper. Saturday was also the first official trip of the 2015 season for the Spirit of Jasper train. Sunday brought the annual picnic for St. Joseph's Parish. Terry Seitz joins me for Monday with the Mayor after this.